Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with another video. I thought I'd do a quick one on the top 10 most expensive records ever sold. I love reading lists like this because it gives me hope that maybe one day I could find one of these in an attic somewhere and buy a house or something. So sit back, relax, check these out, and take notes. Maybe you'll find one of these in an attic somewhere or a basement somewhere or at a yard sale. Who knows? I've heard some crazy stories. So we're going to go from 10 to 1, least to greatest. Number 10, Frank Wilson, Do I Love You. This is a single. They only made 250 copies. Frank Wilson was a producer for Motown, but also sang a little bit. And Berry Gordy didn't like the idea of him losing his best producer. So he ordered all of the singles to be destroyed. There were 250 originally, and it's reported that only 5 of them survived. But out of one of those 5, sold in auction in 2009 for 25,742 pounds, which is 33,460 US dollars. So maybe you can find one of the other 4 out of the yard sale. Number 9 is Tommy Johnson, Alcohol and Jake Blues. This is a 78 RPM record. A lot of times if you do look for records, you'll see 78s in a box somewhere. And the ones that are possibly worth the most money are Blue 78. So always keep an eye out for those. So they can range from being worth $10 to thousands of dollars. So this is the most expensive Blue 78 to ever sell for $37,100. The collector that bought it was in Oregon. Funny thing about it is he already had another copy, but this one was in a little bit better shape, so he bought a double. So that must be nice to have that kind of scratch. But, sometimes you got to. So when you're out looking for 78s, check that one out. Number 8 is Aphex Twin Caustic Window. It's a test pressing. This is the newest record on the list that has sold, and it kind of surprised me this one went for so much. I'm thinking, who's going to pay this much for an Aphex Twin record? Well, Mark Persson, the founder of Minecraft, paid $46,300 for this one. So that's a lot of money for this, but I guess when you got Minecraft money, what do? Number 7 was the Beatles, Till There Was You. This is a 10-inch acetate. Les McGuire, the keyboard player for Jerry and the Peacemakers, he found it in his attic, so that must be nice. But this is kind of a one-of-a-kind piece, if you know what an acetate is. An acetate is it's more rare than a test pressing. It's kind of a one-and-done deal where it's cut with a vinyl cutter, not even onto a piece of vinyl, but it's almost like a piece of metal. And so these actually aren't supposed to be played more than about 10 times, maybe less, and they start deteriorating and losing sound quality. So this is a very, very early recording. If you can imagine finding something like that in your attic. This one sold for 77,500 pounds, which is $100,737. So that is definitely a grail of a record. Number 6 is the Beatles, Yesterday and Today, and a lot of collectors are familiar with this album because it's known as the Beatles Butcher album. It's one of the most collectible Beatles records that there is. This was one of the U.S. releases from the Beatles, but they issued this in the U.S. with kind of a controversial cover of them with baby doll parts on their laps with raw meat, and it just was, for that time, very, very controversial. People did not like that. This is actually a reproduction of that album. So as you can see, the album cover is a little bit gruesome for that time period. So this is a reproduction. This is not an original, but this is just an example of what one would look like. The crap hit the fan when they released it, and basically they pulled it back. Not even all stores got it. Very few got out with that obscene cover. And then they basically took the ones that were the very, very first pressings, and they pasted over a big sticker over the front. That was just the alternate cover that they were coming out with next. And so the second pressings and on have just that regular cover, but the first pressings have that paste over cover But if you peel them off, you can find the original artwork there. Some of them, very, very few of them that leaked out and got into the wild, are amongst the most collectible albums out there. This was a near mint perfect copy, sold for $125,000, which is the most I've ever heard one going for. I've heard them for going up to 10 grand, but 125 grand is crazy. But one has gone for that much. So that hits number 6 on our list. Number 5 is John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy. Now, what's so special about this one is that it was autographed on December 8th, 1980, the day that he died. He actually signed it to Mark David Chapman, his killer, right before he was killed. So this is possibly the last thing that John Lennon ever autographed. And so this album being that rare because of this is a one-of-a-kind thing. The last thing that John Lennon ever autographed, it went for $150,000. So that's one you're not going to find anywhere. That is a one-of-a-kind deal. It's a very interesting story, but if you don't know, John Lennon was shot by a crazed fan, and right before he did, he autographed this record for him. Coming in at number 4 is another Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, 1967 original black label mono Parlophone pressing. But the kicker on this one is it's signed by all 4 Beatles. It's tough to get a Beatles signature, but to have all 4 of them on a pristine copy of the Beatles Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band mono, that fetched $290,000. Wow, that's insane. But that's what it went for, and one can only dream of finding something like that. Now we're at number 3. Number 3 is Elvis, My Happiness. This was Elvis's first recording, and this is extremely rare. Jack White bought it for $300,000 to reissue it as an exact replica with a brown paper sleeve and all. So that now lives with Jack White, and I'm sure Jack White's a pretty high-level record collector, and he has a lot of crazy stuff in his collection, but this is number 3 on the most valuable records ever sold list. Coming in at number 2 is another Beatles album. This is a white album. It's not this album because I would sell it. As you know, the originals are the numbered copies. This is a US numbered copy. As you can see that number there. This is kind of a rough condition copy. It's going to my buddy who collects white albums. But this wasn't just any white album. This was an original UK white album with the serial number 00000001. The first ever printed white album, and it came from Ringo Starr's personal collection that he sold in auction for $790,000. And if you don't know, if you're out there looking for Beatles white albums and you ever find a low numbered serial number one, whether it be a US press or a UK press, the lower the serial number, sometimes the more it can be worth if it's really low. So keep your eyes peeled for those low serial numbers, because some of them have fetched a lot of money in the past. Not quite $790,000 big, but they go for quite a bit of money if they're really low. That's just one of those weird Beatles super fan items. Coming in at number 1 might be a big surprise for you. This is the Wu-Tang Clan, Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. This was an album that they recorded and released in 2015, but they only sold 1 copy. Really strange concept, but they sold this 1 copy at auction for $2 million. Now this story has got some serious twists and turns. Let me tell you about it. So it was just this 1 copy, the only copy ever produced. In the contract, it states that the buyer cannot make any money off this record for 100 years. They're able to release the album for free or keep it for their personal collection, but they were not to make any money off of this record for 100 years. It got sold for $2 million to Turing Pharmaceutical CEO Martin Shkreli. Now, this CEO that bought it ended up getting arrested for securities fraud and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. So the FBI came in and confiscated it. So now it's believed to live with the FBI. This is the crazy part though. In the contract, the album reads this interesting note, and I quote, "The buying party also agrees that at any time during the stipulated 88-year period, the seller, the Wu-Tang Clan, may legally plan and attempt to execute the one heist or caper to steal back Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, which, if successful, would return all ownership rights to the seller. Said heist or caper can only be undertaken by currently active members of the Wu-Tang Clan and or actor Bill Murray, with no legal repercussions. This was agreed upon and signed by the buyer. So there is hope that you may be able to hear this record sometime in the future. If you're a big Wu-Tang Clan fan, I would love to hear it. That's super interesting and super weird, which I'm okay with, because why not? Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below any high-selling albums that you know of. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Follow us on Instagram, where we're posting all kinds of stuff. And there's links below where you can stay engaged and buy some of our merch, our hats, stickers, t-shirts, all that. Thanks. We'll see you guys next time.